Crossroads. No, I'm not going to sing to you. And no, I never went down to the crossroads myself to sell my soul to the devil to be the world's greatest guitarist or whatever. It's just a song, guys. But we are going to talk about the blues today. Welcome back to Sean's Guitars. We're going to call this video Blues for Beginners. Now, believe it or not, most youngsters, when they decide they want to pick up an instrument, blues isn't what they think they want to be focused on. Often I'll have high school age students come to my studio and they want to play rock. So I try to send them home playing something that first day, usually as either the 3 chords of Sweet Home Alabama, cowboy chords, and the G major pentatonic scale, or the 3 power chords to Back in Black and the E minor pentatonic scale, those 2 scales being the same scale. Also being the same format as a blues scale. And if there's time that first lesson, I'll teach them the open position A7 chord, open position D7 chord, open position E7 chord. Then I'll take them to the 5th fret where the frets are a little closer together to teach them the blues scale. The A minor pentatonic scale, the C major pentatonic scale, which is also the A blues scale. Now often, trying to get them to play blues is just met with a blank stare. They'll come back the next week being able to play Sweet Home Alabama. They'll come back the next week being able to play most of Back in Black. They'll struggle with the licks a little bit, but that's, that's an agility thing that has to be worked out. But they're not interested in doing this whole blues thing. 2 months down the road, 6 months, sometimes it's a year, they'll come to my studio and they'll say, hey, you know what, I want to learn some Clapton. Could we learn Crossroads? One of them said to me one time, could you teach me the theory behind Johnny Be Good? Both cases. I take their book from them, open it up, point to page 1. It was the first thing we covered. I was no different. I went for guitar lessons because I wanted to finally learn how to play rock. And my teacher said, sure, we can play rock. Let me start by teaching you the blues. And I wasn't interested. And he pulled out old recordings, I think, of Robert Johnson, which was really great stuff for blues. But the fidelity of those recordings was really bad. And I'd grown up on listening to country music, and I'd heard some iterations of blues playing, but that production sounded good, and the Robert Johnson production didn't sound very good. And so I just, I want to play rock. I don't want to play blues. I don't want to play country sounding stuff. I want to play rock. So I got through most of my high school and into my college career playing a lot of music without knowingly playing any blues. And in the August of '88, I had moved to Boston to go to Berkeley. There I get the name dropping in the t-shirt, all taken care of with one video. I received the September issue of Guitar Player magazine, which had Robin Ford on the cover, who I'd never heard of. But there was what they called sound pages, which were little vinyl records inserted in the magazines. And I took that out and listened to it. I thought it was very interesting, but I had no idea what the guy was playing. Just about that time, I was in the old Daddy's Junkie Music in Boston, across the street from the Berkeley Performance Center. And I happened across a guy who was testing out a guitar, and he was playing stuff I'd never heard before. And I was amazed. And I just stood there listening to him. And then eventually we struck up a conversation. And he had asked me where I'm from. I said, I'm from across the river from St. Louis, the St. Louis area. He said, oh, you must be a really good blues player. No. I was a little annoyed. Well, St. Louis, that's like the birthplace of the blues. How can you not play blues if you want to be a rock player? And that musicologically made me rethink a whole lot of things. I had just heard Robin Ford for the first time, and now I'm questioning musical roots, right? And then in the spring semester, a friend grabbed me and said, hey, Robin Ford's doing a clinic at the Performing Arts Center. And I went and I listened to him play and sing and talk for about an hour or two. And it was a fantastic experience. I teach the blues, it begins with a 1-7 chord, the 4-7 chord, and the 5-7 chord. Now traditionally in Western music, the 1 chord is going to be a major 7 chord, and the 4 chord is going to be a major 7 chord. In the blues, they're all dominant 7 chords. They're all 7 chords, as the 5 chord is here. Also, it's a 12-bar form, where most Western music is a 4 or 8-bar form. So we're going to start with the A7, 1 bar, strum 4 beats of that chord, take that same chord down. This is called a quick change when it goes to the 4 chord for the 2nd bar. It doesn't always go to this, depends on the songwriter. Then bar 3, go back to A7 for 2 bars. Then bar 5, we go back to D7. Then we go back to A7 for 2 bars, 7 and 8, 2, 3. We go to the 5-7 chord, which is E7. Then we go to D7. Then measure 11, we go to A7. Then measure 12 may go to an E7 chord, or it may go right, just keep riding through an A chord. Or eventually there are different variations on that turnaround measure, whether it's half a measure or a whole measure or a measure and a half. So the next step in playing blues is getting the scale under your fingers, the blues scale. I like to introduce this even to youngsters with the first finger at the 5th fret. I know we're climbing the frets awful fast, but you can reach 4 frets really easy between the 5th and the 8th fret. It's just not that hard to reach as much as reaching those frets down here would be. So we got first finger on A, 4th finger on C, 1st finger on D, 3rd finger on E, 1st finger on G. A, C, D, E, G, A, C. We have the 1, the sharp 9, the 4, 5, 7. 1, sharp 9, 4, 5, 7, 1, sharp 9. I call it a sharp 9 instead of a flatted 3rd like everybody else does, it seems like, because in fact we're playing a major chord with a major 3rd in it. We just have the 7 also. So if we're going to play this note that rubs against the 3rd, well, it's going to be a sharp 9. It's not going to, we thank Jimi Hendrix for the 7 sharp 9 chord, where we have the 1, the 3, and the sharp 9, and the 7. Right? Well, that's an E7 sharp 9. It's the same thing here. 1 sharp 9, 4, 5, 7. 1 sharp 9, 4, 5, 7. 1 sharp 9. We have letters in the music alphabet, so there aren't redundancies. There's not an A, B, C natural, C sharp, D. At any rate, I would say take this scale, you can work it forward and backward. Say the names of the notes as you go. A, C, D, E, G, A, C, D, E, G, A, C. Then take your iPad, your iPhone, whatever, go back to your chords with a metronome. Slowly and carefully, reliably, play this 12-bar form. Record yourself doing it. And when you're finished with that, do that 2-3 times, continual, and then go back and play your scale along with it. Quarter notes at first, then we're going to double them up. And listen how as you play it, each one of those notes sits in or rubs against the chords that you're playing. So just a few things before we wrap up. I know in mentioning the A blues scale, if I'm going to call it a sharp 9, I should have been calling it a B sharp instead of a C natural. Touche. Secondly, the stranger I met in Daddy's Junkie Music all those years ago is a well-established YouTuber in the music scene today, and I just don't want to drop his name until I've met him and had a chance to tell him how he changed my life. I also want to add what a genius my guitar teacher was when I was in high school. I told him I didn't want to learn blues. He taught me Southern rock tunes instead of blues. He taught me blues tunes, called them Southern rock. One Way Out by the Allman Brothers. And this next tune, Southbound. So if this was helpful, please like and subscribe and leave a comment down below. You know, I'm trying to get my subscribers numbers up. I invited a whole bunch of my Facebook friends to a new Facebook page where I had samples of what's on my YouTube channel. And everyone came over to my new Facebook page and no one made it to the new YouTube channel. So there's just one more invitation. So till next time, God bless. And before you get impatient with front of house, remember he's working all night Christmas Eve too.